MotoGP is back at majestic Montmello for the Grand Prix of Catalonia with Chapter 6 of the 2026 World Championship campaign coming from Barcelona, one of the world's trendiest cities and a hub of fashion, cuisine and sport. Alex Marquez it was who triumphed in a super close sprint, and he's now eyeing back-to-back Barcelona Grand Prix wins. It's time to race in MotoGP. First on the calendar back in 1992, known then as the Grand Prix of Europe until 1995. It's the magnificent Circuit de Barcelona Catalonia. We've got a new top speed record here this weekend with pole starter Pedro Acosta blasting through the speed gun at over 363 kilometres an hour. This circuit, 14 turns, just over 4.6 kilometres in length. What a challenge it poses. Turn 3. Starting that first sector, you really do abuse the rear tyre. Heat generation crucial through 13 and 14 as well to complete sector 4. It's turn 1, turn 4 and turn 10 where you really do overwork the Michelin front tyre as well. But that said, 3 and 14 is where you have to be really careful on that throttle. Overtaking hot spots, well, one of the most popular is down the brakes into the first corner. At over 360 kilometres an hour, it was Alex Marquez passing by the mark for the Barcelona win last year. Well, from just his second pole position in the MotoGP World Championship, it was KTM star Pedro Acosta that made the early running in yesterday's 12-lap Tissot sprint. John Zarco was pretty rapid as well from the middle of the second row to get himself up into early podium contentions. Brad Binder and Joan Mir were caught up in some turn 1 melee. Jorge Martin crashing out for the 4th time this weekend as he blew a chance to lead the MotoGP World Championship. Fabio Di Antonio late on picking off Ralph Hernandez for a bronze medal. But it got super tight at the checkered flag. This moment, this finish between Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta, just over 400ths of a second in our 67th sprint. None have finished closer. What a mouth-watering prospect we have then going into our full-length feature Grand Prix of Catalonia. That'll be lights out in just over 40 minutes time, 24 laps, double the distance. It's going to be a tyre-punishing Grand Prix without any question. After his brilliance in Le Mans last weekend, a double victory for Jorge Martin, the 2024 World Champion, crowned World Champion that year right here in Barcelona. Well, he's trying to recover from 4 crashes so far this weekend. He's 2 points behind series leader Marco Bezzecchi. We're looking to do the business once again in Barcelona, looking to do the business once again in front of his home crowd is Alex Marquez. Talk about home sweet home for Alex. He won the Grand Prix here last September. He's already won on Spanish soil so far this year. An unforgettable second successive victory in Andalusia at the Circuito de Jerez Angelnieta. But we are at another classic and iconic Spanish Grand Prix venue for round 6 in 2026. Matt Burt-Lewis will be in the commentary box. Jack Appleyard down in pit lane in what feels like the hottest conditions of the weekend so far, despite, as you can see from these live pictures, a bit of cloud cover off into the distance. Thankfully no threat of rain, and this should be a full dry Grand Prix, just as we like it. Are we going to get another classic in Catalonia? Pedro Acosta then on pole position. We keep saying it, Lewis, he was so close to the sprint win yesterday. The closest ever sprint finale over the checker flag yesterday between him and Alex Marquez. Is it? Is today the day for Pedro Acosta to take his first MotoGP win?
Well, if he knocks on the door often enough, surely it's going to open eventually. He seems pretty confident, doesn't he? And the way the sprint ended yesterday with Pedro Acosta looking like he had the superior pace over Alex Marquez will certainly give him hope that it could today be the day that he takes his first victory. As floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee into the Aprilia box goes Marco Bezzecchi. He'll hope he's got that same spring in his step at the end of today's 24-lap encounter. Just the 1 point picked up for Bez yesterday, and he's going to have to start in that kind of fast manner, given that he's coming from the back of row 4 this afternoon. The World Championship leader has been on his back foot for much of this Montmello weekend.
That was an impressive sprint into the Aprilia garage from Marco Bezzecchi. Better in many respects than his sprint on track here yesterday. He has a poor record, a very average record, doesn't he, Marco Bezzecchi, as he gets limbered up inside the Nawali factory garage. Yesterday was his 10th sprinting Grand Prix appearance here in Barcelona. As you can see on that graphic, He has never finished a MotoGP race inside the top 8 at this circuit. So yeah, looking to maybe just to rescue some big points. Bezzecchi, bit of work to do for him as well, going from the back of the 4th row in 12th place. 3 places and 1 row ahead of him. Directly ahead of him on the grid will be his closest championship rival from the opposite side of the Aprilia garage, Jorge Martin, who's had 4 crashes so far this weekend. A pair on Friday, a pair yesterday. He did thankfully emerge from this morning's 10-minute warm-up session without falling and unscathed. We have to say, when he has been upright this weekend, Jorge Martin, he has been fat. He was kicking himself yesterday, Lewis, because clearly he made another great start, got himself up into the sort of that top 5 battle. He felt like he had podium potential, maybe even better. Really did squander a big chance to overhaul Bez at the top of the standings yesterday.
And very on Jorge Martin-like much of this weekend. You have to say, what he's done so well this year is bringing home the points and not making any big mistakes, but he's made 4 of them already this weekend. This was ultimately how the sprint was decided yesterday. Pedro Acosta didn't appear to have much early pace, did he? As Alex Marquez breezed through on the main straight. Alex Marquez scores so good through those 2 right-handers to end the lap, which gives him that run on Pedro Acosta down the main straight. They then sort of yo-yoed back in the direction of the 37 in the latter stages after he'd come back through on Raul Fernandez to take 2nd place, and that is what led us to the closest sprint finish in this era. This is visually how close it was, basically half a bike between Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta. That equated to 4/100ths of a second. No sprint in the MotoGP era since we started these in 2023 has finished as close between 1st and 2nd as that one.
6th sprint gold medal for Alex Marquez. Can he, for the first time in his MotoGP career, end the weekend as a double winner? He's had 11 double podiums previously, but never twice has he been first on a Saturday afternoon and first on a Sunday afternoon. We've had some great drama, some great entertainment so far in our sprint Saturdays, haven't we? Yesterday was only the 2nd sprint to be decided by less than 1/10 of a second. And this is the tail of the tape for Jorge Martin. This was a pretty dramatic start to his weekend. This was in a cool and cloudy FP1 on Friday morning. A bit too much lean angle and too much front brake, he said, was the reason for that scary crash at turn 12. This was in the 2nd session. Cold front tyre biting the Martinator on this occasion. That was through turn 2, where his teammate Marco Bezzecchi tumbled off in Q2 yesterday. This is the hat-trick, the unwanted hat-trick, down the hill into turn 5. I mean, that was like he was crashing in the rain, wasn't it? No way he was going to save that one. And here he is then charging towards the podium battle, if not better, in yesterday's sprint, right behind Fabio Di Gianantonio, who did eventually finish in the medal positions. Jorge Martin dumping it in the sprint. 4 crashes. Can he bounce back, as he so often does on Sundays? Gave the marshals a bit of a roost there with some growl, didn't he, as the engine was still running. 28-year-old Spaniard seeking his first ever MotoGP success on home turf.
Well, they say that all the sessions building up to the race is all about finding the limit. It's fair to say Jorge Martin has found it, and found it a lot already this weekend. But if he ends today with 25 points, or ends today as the World Championship leader, he might say that the end justifies the means. Pedro Acosta losing the lead here, as we've already seen, to Alex Marquez in the Tiso sprint. Can't say he's not throwing everything at it in his pursuit of a first MotoGP victory. I guess what we'll get the definitive answer to today is just how much progress KTM have made in managing their rear tyre towards the end of the Grand Prix. He certainly looked like he had the superior grip late in the sprint yesterday. This was him taking 2nd place back from Raul Fernandez before he launched that late assault on Alex Marquez. But if Acosta has the superior grip on what we're expecting to be the medium rear tyre in this afternoon's Grand Prix, then we can say that KTM have certainly cured their long-time weakness.
He's had a great weekend, the 21-year-old Spaniard. On Friday, he was fastest at the end of practice for only the 4th time in his MotoGP career. Pole position yesterday for just the 2nd time, his first pole in 32 Grand Prix since Japan in 2024. Now then, if there's one rider who knows the tricks of the trade, the secrets of the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, he's a former winner here, Aleix Espargaro, who was born and bred just a stone's throw away in nearby Granollers. What's he anticipating in the 24-lap battle coming up shortly? I would like to say the factory Honda test rider is with Jack. Good afternoon, guys.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone at home. Great to have Aleix with me. I imagine you've not had to travel too far, given that you're originally from just down the road. You've had so much success here, so much enjoyment, so many tears, I imagine, down the years. What's it like coming back here, and I imagine those emotions flooding back?
Yeah, every time I come into this place, I'm very happy, I smile. Yesterday was a bit strange, you know, because after 20 years of career, has been the first time I've been in the grid without the leather suit, so it was quite strange. But it's a pleasure to be here, being part of this team, being part of the HRC family. And Joan looking good this morning, so hopefully we can have a good result.
Last time we spoke to you, you've had quite a big crash, big recovery ongoing at the moment. So first and foremost, how are you? And just talk us through what happened exactly.
Yeah, I'm good. It was completely my mistake. I braked too late in the back straight, and I locked the rear brake, and I fly. I did a big high side, probably the worst crash of my career. I land on my back and I destroy 4 vertebrae. Luckily, they did a very good job in the shells with the surgery. Now it's 1 month, so I still need a couple of months of recover, but hopefully I can be back by the last part of the summer when the new 850 prototype will arrive from Japan. So hopefully we'll be ready to keep developing it.
Yeah, we understand the 850 has been on track. Have you done any laps yet? I'm sure you're not allowed to tell us too much, but come on, give us something. What's it like?
I'm not allowed really to talk about that project, but the thing that I can tell you is that the bike is very fun. The riders will have a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than the 1000 bike. The Pirelli tires are super grippy, and with a little bit less torque on the bottom, you can rush a little bit in the apex. The bike is more than 10 kilos lighter, so the change direction are super good. So the riders, and I think also the people at home will have fun, because I think it will be a lot more battles. So I can't wait really to show everybody the new bike.
It's very fun, you say. The rumour is it's also very fast. Are those rumours true?
I cannot say many numbers, but the only thing that I will tell you is that we compare both bikes, the 1000 bike and the 850, and they are closer than what people said.
Last couple of questions. We had news this weekend, Alberto Puig moving into a different role in the HRC squad from next year. You've been in the paddock for so long and know what an influence Alberto has had on this team. Then to come on the inside and experience it as well. I mean, what a stalwart, what a servant to this team he has been.
Alberto has been an amazing guy, one guy that has been always at the rider's side, knowing that he's part of HRC, but he has been always super close to the riders, defending them. I've been lucky enough to work with him this season and last season, and it's a really good team manager. I know about the HRC news, but Alberto will be here anyway next year, maybe in different role, but he will be a very important key and important guy inside of the team, maybe from a different perspective, but Alberto will remain here.
And last one, the important one, we need your expert knowledge. What do you think is going to happen in half an hour?
I don't know in half an hour, but in 1 hour time, at the end of the race will be the important part of this race. The tire management will be the key. There is no big difference. I think Alex and Pedro are the only guys with a little bit more fast pace, but the last 5 laps, 6 laps can be dramatic with the drop of the tire. It's not very warm out there, so also we can see many crashes because the front tire will be quite cold. So hopefully Joan can do a good start. He's our strongest guy in Honda, and I think it's realistic to think that if he do a good start, he can fight for the podium.
Well, it's great to see you here. Good luck with the recovery. Can't wait to see you back out on track.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, fantastic interview that, Jack. Thanks very much. I'm sure you all enjoyed watching that at home. And thanks to Atas Spargo, and just to echo the sentiments of Jack there, yeah, a speedy ongoing recovery for Atas. There was some rumours it was a real nasty heavy crash he had testing over in Sepang a few weeks ago, and as he said, one of the biggest crashes of his career. Well, that sounds pretty positive, doesn't it? He loves the new 850. He's got a bit more work to do to prep the 850, potentially for Fabio Quartararo and David Alonso next year. So sounds like the early signs are very, very positive for what awaits the MotoGP field in 2027 and beyond.
There will be 4 of those on the grid next season. We strongly suspect that 2 of them will be occupied by Fabio Quartararo and David Alonso within the factory team. As we now move into the box of Grassini and Alex Marquez, who enjoyed more home victory in Barcelona. He has won a sprint here along with a Grand Prix here, but as Matt mentioned, a little bit earlier on. He's not done them in the same weekend, and certainly if we trust the expertise, and why wouldn't we, of Aleix Espargaro, twice former winner, or a winner over here, twice sprint winner, of course, winner head back in 2023. He knows what it takes to win the Catalan Grand Prix. He suspects it's going to come down to Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta.
A milestone day for Honda HRC Qatar rider Luca Marini, as you can see. The 28-year-old Italian about to make his 100th MotoGP start, the 188th of his Grand Prix career. And he's in a bit of an Italian contest, it seems, for the potential vacant seat at VR46 Ducati. Some family loyalty might be tested in the next few weeks. As we know, Fermin Aldeguer looks like he's moving over to Valentino Rossi's independent Ducati team next year. And then it's one of 4 Italians for the second seat. Marini, the current occupier of that seat, Frankie Morbidelli. Celestino Vietti has also been mentioned. And who's the other Italian? Of course it is, Bulega. Yeah, Bulega, of course, who was also formerly part of the VR46 Academy, who at the moment is tearing up the World Superbike Championship in 2026. So yeah, not an easy choice, but Valentino Rossi, I do believe, has told our Italian TV colleagues that there is no doubt about it. Well, it's not up for debate. The second rider alongside Aldeguer will have an Italian passport.
Yes, he'll be the sole Italian in Ducati's rider lineup of 6 next year. Here's Fabio Quartararo, we mentioned a moment ago, once again fighting the good fight for Yamaha. 7th on the grid for Fabio, although I think we can put that largely down to some classic Quartararo magic over a qualifying lap to put himself at the front of that 3rd row. Did regress back to, I guess, where he would have expected in the Grand Prix itself, and with plenty of Pirelli rubber having been laid down already on this Sunday afternoon, I think Quartararo potentially concerned about what that might mean for his prospects.
More than just a few pockets of French fans have crossed the border. Fabio Quartararo telling Paul Espargaro on the rider parade this morning, his home in France, closer to this Catalonia circuit than it is to the French Grand Prix host venue Le Mans, of course, where we were most recently. So that's why there are an army of fans who've come over the border to support Quartararo and Johann Zarco. Andrea Dovizioso there, a former Catalonia winner, just coming to offer some words of encouragement to Toprak Razgatlioglu, who it's fair to say is struggling at the moment, certainly having a pretty tough weekend here in Catalonia. 17th he was at the checker flag in the sprint yesterday from 22nd on the grid. The Turkish fans, though, they're some of the most passionate and some of the most loyal in the world, and they're sticking with Toprak.
What certainly didn't help Toprak yesterday was forgetting to activate the start device at the beginning of the sprint, although he was already starting at the back of the field anyway. It has been a very tough weekend, as mentioned, and his confidence is taking a bit of a battering, certainly not helped by a crash at turn 5 in qualifying 1. Top Aprilia so far this weekend has been consistently this young man, Raul Fernandez. 4th on the grid, finished the sprint in 4th place. Can he go one better and get himself back onto a Grand Prix podium this afternoon for the first time since Buriram? What
a difference a week makes if you're the Aprilia setup here in MotoGP. Last weekend, well, almost exactly 1 week ago, the Wily factory were jubilant. They were celebrating their first ever podium lockout in MotoGP, a 1-2-3 for Martin, Bezzecchi and Ayagura. Hard to make a case for a repeat of that here this afternoon, with Martin 9th, Bezzecchi 12th, and Ayagura, we saw on screens a few moments ago. He's got a lot of work to do, coming from 18th, although there's another great fight back from the former Moto2 world champion yesterday, 18th to 8th in the sprint. One of his several battles, one of his several clashes in that sprint yesterday was with Enea Bastianini, who missed out on the point scoring places in 10th. Enea, his only Grand Prix podium on the top of a KTM RC16, though, was here in Barcelona last September.
Yeah, Ayagura and Bastianini's comebacks nearly collided with each other on the last lap yesterday as Ayagura took that 8th place, and it was that move into turn 6 which ultimately left the door open for Bezzecchi to claim a World Championship point. So we're expecting both Ayagura and Bastianini to come vaulting up the order over the course of this Grand Prix with their famed tyre management. Back up to full strength this weekend are the Red Bull KTM Tech 3 team, with the return of Maverick Vinales. He goes from 17th on the grid.
Yeah, unfortunately for Maverick, his return in the sprint, his return to competition, was a bit of a short-lived affair. A faulty rear brake was hampering Maverick's progress, so unfortunately he had to pit. There was a bit of fluid leaking onto his boot as well. On the bright side, as far as Gunther Steiner's Tech 3 squad is concerned here this weekend, of course it was right here in Barcelona last September, where Gunther Steiner, former Formula One has team boss confirmed he was taking over CEO rights and management rights to Hervé Poncharal Tech 3 squad. Well, in the present, there's been more big news in Barcelona as far as Gunther Steiner's Tech 3 project is concerned, because despite some pretty intense rumours about a switch to HRC, talks with several other manufacturers as well, they are staying put, Lewis.
They are. The potential of a move to Honda didn't ultimately materialise, which is big news that for Tech 3, but I think perhaps bigger news for KTM when we go into a new era of technical regulations, which we've already discussed with Jack and Alicia Spargaro down in pit lane with the 850cc bikes, reduced aero, ride-out devices going, Pirelli tyres. You want all of the data and all the information you can get. So if KTM had lost half of their fleet of bikes for next season, that would have been a major, major blow. So key for them to keep Tech 3 on board.
We're looking at the world's fastest and the world's most skilled riders, and those skills are going to be put to one of the ultimate tests in this Barcelona Grand Prix coming up shortly, because tyre management is going to be, it's fundamental every Grand Prix, but it feels extra prevalent here in Barcelona. Low grip, high abrasion, now that is the features whenever we've been coming to Barcelona really since 1992. And yesterday, well, throughout the weekend, a lot of riders have just said, you know, in previous years, you might have had front grip and no rear grip. You might have had rear grip and no front grip, but this year, you've got neither. You see, you're really fighting front, or you're looking for front and rear grip. A few rides on Friday, it was very, very cool. It was a lot cooler than we were expecting here. And obviously it's mid-May in Barcelona, on the Mediterranean coast. So Michelin certainly were expecting hot conditions on Friday. But a few riders reporting the Barcelona surface felt like it was riding on ice. This does have a feel of something of a race of survival to come.
I enjoyed Pecco Bagnaio's description, or his analysis of it on Thursday before a wheel had been turned in this weekend, where he said there's no point going out there and looking for grip and complaining about the lack of grip, because it's as good as it's going to get. You're not going to find any of it out on the racetrack, so it's all about minimising the drop-off in this Grand Prix. Said earlier on during the Moto2 battle that we enjoyed, this is the kind of Grand Prix which is about winning it at the slowest possible speed and making sure. You might be fast at the start of it, you might be able to set blistering lap record pace at the beginning, but it's going to pay you back badly in this second half of the Grand Prix. It's all about just trying to manage that drop-off, trying not to hit that cliff of performance, which could take you completely out of contention. 13 sprint podiums, 1 win. 12 Grand Prix podiums, no win. Is that stat going to change for Pedro Acosta? It looks like he means business. He's got the race face on already, hasn't he, Acosta, the 21-year-old? You just know he's desperate to break that winning duck. It would be sort of poetic to do it right here for him in front of his home fans in Barcelona. He shares with Colin Edwards the Texas Tornado, the highest number of podiums without getting any of them converted into a MotoGP victory. I think he's probably sick to the back teeth of that stat, and more importantly being reminded of it. We saw him earlier on this weekend when we put up a graphic up, didn't we? Pedro was looking at it inside the KTM garage. You do get a sense that this is one of his better opportunities to break that winning duck. Don't discount a tyre management race. The MotoGP tyre whisperer himself, Enea Bastianini, from coming through, the Italian with Jack.
Yeah, now you're on the podium here last year, and this race feels like it could be a similar one. Looking after the rear tyre is going to be so important. Confident going into it?
Yeah, it's always important, but here especially, you know, we know how is the drop of the tyre in Barcelona, and we need to try to save this one for the last 5 laps, I think, and nothing will be important also the start.
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to Enea Bastianini. Lots and lots of rumours initially about Enea's future, moving to Gresini Ducati next year. A return for him to that particular squad. But now the emerging gossip in Barcelona this weekend in particular, Enea's on his way to Trackhouse Aprilia. Join the queue. A lot of riders want Aprilia in 2027, don't they?
Trackhouse Aprilia, not just in the look out for potentially one new rider, certainly at least one, but also a new team manager with the news of Davide Brivio departing at the end of the season. He won't certainly leave before the end of the season, but they now have to try and find a suitable replacement. Davide Brivio hasn't confirmed officially where he's going, but the reports are that he's going to be heading to Honda, perhaps not in a team manager's capacity, but that's where he's heading. Here's the grid: Pedro Acosta, Frankie Morbidelli via Q1, and Alex Marquez on the front row of the grid. While you take a look at the grid, we're going to speak to the rider who starts from 8th. It's Brad Binder with Jack.
Yeah, middle of the third row for Brad Binder. Obviously, it didn't go to plan yesterday, Brad. Get around the first corner and you must feel like you've got a chance at a great result here.
Yeah, I think as long as we get through turn 1 today, it's going to be a hell of a lot better than yesterday. So, yeah, in general, I feel okay. It looks like we might stay dry, so that's a positive. And really looking forward to trying to put a solid race together today.
Have fun, have a good one.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Brad Binder. Confirmation, as you saw on your screens there as we went through the grid lineup, that at the moment it looks as though everyone is going to go medium front, medium rear. Certainly with the torture that the tyres take under a circuit such as this, the medium rear, if the temperatures were good enough for it, would be the preferred pick. And of course the medium front will certainly work well enough in these warmer conditions that we have on Grand Prix Sunday. Pedro Acosta, as you can see there, aiming to become the first KTM rider to win a Grand Prix since Miguel Oliveira in wet conditions in Buriram late in 2022. If you want to go back to the last time that the KTMs won in a dry Grand Prix, you actually have to come back 5 years right here when Miguel Oliveira held off Joan Zarco on a Pramac Ducati to win the 2021 Catalan Grand Prix. So it's 5 full years since the RC16s have triumphed in a full dry Grand Prix. Pedro Acosta looking to end that run as well as his own wait for a MotoGP victory today. The doctor in the house, Valentino Rossi on the grid, of course a serial winner here too over the course of his MotoGP career. His last of those coming 10 years ago, back in 2016, an unforgettable head-to-head with Marc Marquez. And the doctor has had to fend off plenty of questions about how his team is going to look in 2027 as well, as we've already discussed, with 4 Italians vying out for the place, we suspect, alongside Fermin Aldeguer next season. Of course, all of that yet to be confirmed. The very traditional Catalan opening ceremony here ahead of the Catalan Grand Prix. Lights out in just under 20 minutes' time.
Yeah, I'm back. I know in the former Olympic city of Barcelona, I'm just shot putting my glasses across the commentary box here. So, yeah, I've rescued them. I can actually now see what's going on screens. Pecco Bagnaia, then can he stop the rot? Can he end this barren run for the factory Ducati team? No podium in the last 10 Grand Prix, not just for Pecco, but also for the factory team as well. Pecco going solo here this weekend with no Marc Marquez. Now, Fabio Di Gianantonio, well, he's had no problems finding his podium touch so far in 2026. Frankie Morbidelli as well goes from the front row of the grid for the off. It's great. And let's get the thoughts of the boss, Pablo Nieto, a Jack.
Yeah, Didier, one of the men that I'm sure everyone will be watching in this one. He was the fastest rider in the closing stages of yesterday's sprint, which should put him in good stead, Pablo, but I feel I've asked you this question a million times. How much is this down to him getting the start right?
Yeah, I think we are making a very good job, so this is really, really important, but still we have to improve the first 2 laps, because we know in MotoGP now the start and the first lap more or less is 75% of the race. So this is our goal, to try to improve that, because we saw that Fabio is very, very fast. So we will see what happens.
On the front row of the grid, you've got Frankie Morbidelli. It feels as though it might be a bit of a race of survival for him. Didn't have much luck at the opening corner yesterday. What would be a good result for Frankie?
Yeah, in the end it's very important, because he's starting from 2nd position. So that means if he make a very good start, you know, like you say, it's very important to survive during the race. It's difficult to say what I'm going to be happy, because depends everything of the first 2 laps. So we will see what happens.
Good luck, Pablo.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Thanks to BR46 boss Pablo Nieto. Frankie Morbidelli's hopes of fighting for another medal this season after his brilliant 3rd place in that dramatic horrific sprint, which pretty much ended at the first corner when he had to go through the long lap penalty loop as he came across some heavy traffic in what was always a congested first sector here in Catalonia. one of the rides of yesterday's sprint, without any question, was Johan Zarco, the number 5, starting P5 and finishing at P5 in that sprint. Can he go any better this afternoon? Let's get the thoughts of LCR Honda boss Lucio checking along with Jack.
Yes, Lucio just takes the jacket off, which gives you an indication that those clouds we had for the Moto2 race have certainly gone away. Track temperature, I'm sure he's going to be soaring now. Lucio, Johan yesterday, although he wouldn't confirm it to me, he was leading the sprints for maybe half a second. He got his nose in front of Pedro. It was a brilliant, brilliant ride. What can he do today? Because I'm sure expectations are just a little bit higher, given what he achieved.
Well, I like to keep always the feet on the ground. Of course, we analyze all the data, and then we can be there, you know, top 5, top 6 realistically, but we are honestly a little bit worried about Bezzecchi and Bagnaia, who are behind us, but we know that they have you know, a strong package, and then we have to see, you know, till the end of a long race. Yesterday's sprint was perfect for us, but I am a little bit concerned on the final distance, that perhaps they will have a little bit more, because we use a little bit more the tire.
Thanks, Lucio. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks as always to LCR boss Lucio Cecchinello. Thanks once again, Jack. Yeah, how long can Johan Zarco hang in there? Doesn't sound as confident as he was yesterday, does he? Lucio down on the grid. Looked like the Hondas were struggling, in particular late on in that sprint, to get the rear tyre to catch the traction out of the final corner. Johan Zarco was getting blitzed down the start-finish straight. MotoGP legend.
Fantastic race today for sure. I can't wait to see. Today's race much different than the sprint race with 25 laps. Good luck.
4 times MotoGP runner-up Randy Mamola. We just pause there to get some pre-race thoughts from the American, still very much part of the MotoGP World Championship paddock. His son Dakota works with the LCR Honda team as Fabio Quartararo tries to keep himself cool. We'll get the leathers on, so he looks like he's ready for the beach though right now, doesn't he, Fabio Quartararo? I thought let's go down and get some thoughts from Trackhouse of Pretty boss Davide Brivio, who joins Jack.
Yeah, it was a brilliant ride from Ralph Fernandez for 80%, 90% of yesterday's sprint, and then the tyres just seemed to fall off of a cliff, Davide. Is that a concern going into today? Although we expect everybody's going to swap to medium to maybe solve it.
No, yeah, it is a concern in the sense that we have to try to learn from yesterday. Yeah, yesterday in the last laps, he was struggling with the front tire, so he knows. Yeah, of course, it's not easy, but he has to learn and try to manage today. It could still a problem also today. Let's say that with a medium tire in the rear, it pushes less on the front, so hopefully maybe it will be struggling less on the front. But I mean, we know in general this is the track where you have to be good on managing tires, and so yesterday has told us.
And I has a huge mountain to climb, but we saw yesterday in the sprint again, his pace late in this race is probably going to be as good as anybody. So where can he get up to?
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I mean, we talked a bit, and we know he's fast by the end of the race. It's a matter to start at the right time in order to be as in front as possible. So let's hope he can do the same. So maybe try to manage at the beginning and then try to attack by the end, second half. And let's see where he can. Yesterday he recovered from 18 to 8. And I say you have more time today, so try to do more.
Let's see. Good luck, Davide.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to Davide Brivio, the beginning of the end of his Trackhouse Aprilia stewardship as Brivio this weekend, and Trackhouse confirming that they will part company at the end of the 2026 World Championship campaign. Yeah, Aigura, well, his confidence really was sapped on Friday afternoon with a crash at turn 2, a cold front tyre. How many riders have been caught out by that down the years in that first sector? 19th different Japanese rider to podium in MotoGP last weekend, the first in 245 Grand Prix since Valencia back in 2012. First Japanese rider on a podium, Shinji Nakano at Assen in 2006. Podium box tick. Next one, of course, will be a win for Aigura. I think he's going to have hard work cut out coming from 18th place on the grid. Now, I know one thing.
Could have guessed he was a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I mean, Jack's. He might interview that fella. He certainly ain't going to be offering him out for a fight. I mean, I think his biceps are probably about as wide as my waist.
Yeah, he's got muscles in places that I don't even have.
Wow.
Places. That was,
he's
that
got
was
muscles
very,
on muscle,
very
hasn't he? I mean,
impressive, wasn't that? Andrea Presti there on the grid.
Yeah, I did offer him an arm wrestle, and actually I beat him, would you believe? Which is why he's just out of embarrassment, doesn't want to come on the live and do an interview.
Yeah, now we can tell you off camera, Jack's nose is growing at a rather rapid rate. Yeah, he was a big fellow, wasn't he, down the grid? That's for sure. Great to see him enjoying some pre-race atmosphere here in Barcelona. Alex Marquez then. Well, he knows what it takes. He'll have gone through the regular routine to get himself ready for what he hopes is going to be back-to-back MotoGP successes here in Barcelona. We're all getting set very shortly as the riders come to the traditional grid ceremony. We'll be pausing for a double national anthem, or a double anthem. The national anthem and the Catalan anthem are coming up shortly here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. All the dignitaries, they are gathered and ready. Fans are on their feet. What's coming their way over 24 laps here in this round 6 of 2026? Sadly, we are not joined this weekend by Marc Marquez, of course, a massive home crowd favourite here. And that we are now going to pause then for renditions of the Catalan and the Spanish national anthem. So there we have the Spanish national anthem and the Catalan anthems ringing around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. Paco Bagnaia going solo for the factory Ducati team. We wish Marc Marquez a speedy recovery. We hope the reigning world champion is back in action on the GP26 at Ducati's home Grand Prix in Mugello in a couple of weeks' time, a home Grand Prix which Brazilian Racing will be hoping that they go to with Alex Marquez as back-to-back winner in Barcelona. Let's get the thoughts of the boss, Michele Massini, who's with Jack.
Yeah, big few hours coming up for Alex, the potential of doing the first ever double in his career, and he is the favourite going into it, Michele, but all weekend he said he's not had that same flow, that same feeling from last year. Do you think you've managed to find it overnight?
Yeah, I think so. We made some modify during the warm-up that it works, working on the balance of the bike, but I mean, different race, same strategy. The strategy will be to try to take the lead of the pack and so manage the tire. We know that Alex has a good potential with the medium tire at the rear, but we have to see also our competitor are more aggressive, but we will see.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Thanks to Michele Massini. Of course, the Italian squad, well, they've already seen Alex prevail on Spanish soil so far this year. One Italian Hall of Famer giving advice to his Italian star rider at the moment, Fabio Di Gianantonio. Well, they've talked about the master plan. Now it's on Fabio's shoulders to get the job done. as the doctor is in the house. He's already seen Digia claim 1 podium so far here this weekend, going for just his 4th double podium. Well, from pole position, it's been a brilliant weekend, whatever happens in this Grand Prix as far as Pedro Acosta's concerned. Second in the tightest sprint finish in history, and he's flying away from pole. Let's get the thoughts of Acosta's crew chief, Paul Trevathan, with Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a huge weekend for Pedro so far. So close yesterday. You've just had your final words with him then. What did you say?
No, mate, I mean, it's just stick to the game plan. You know, it's a long race out of there. You've got to be smart. Don't get too sucked into pushing the pace too much at the beginning. Stick to the game plan. That's it, mate. And believe in himself out there. And if we can do our race, I think we're really in for a shot.
Good luck.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks.
I don't think anybody believes in themselves more than Pedro Acosta believes in himself. He has blessed with an abundance of talent, but he wants to be known as Pedro Acosta, MotoGP race winner. Is today his date with destiny. They've got a master plan. How can Pedro Acosta get it executed? He's on pole position. He's got a great shot at it. Just his 2nd ever pole in MotoGP. Only the 7th of his Grand Prix career. He's not exactly a prolific pole starter, is he, Pedro Acosta? Moto3 world champion, Moto2 world champion. More than likely one day in the future, potentially a MotoGP world champion. And first and foremost, he wants that first win out of the way.
He and this man, Fabio Quartararo, certainly are standing up and riding above the limit of their bikes. Quartararo from 7th place on the grid. I have to say that he's probably going to be looking more backwards than forwards in this Grand Prix, given where he's qualified. So much support, as we've already mentioned, for the Frenchman as the crow flies. This is actually the closest to his home, just over the border in Nice. So many flying the French flag and the number 20 for Fabio this afternoon.
No spoilers from the early Moto2 race, but we did see a significant drop-off in tyre performance in the latter stage of that Grand Prix. Lap times deviating by 2 to 3 seconds over the course of the 21-lap battle in Moto2. Are we going to get the sort of same big gaps in lap times from the start to finish of this 24-lap MotoGP race here in Catalonia? Joan Zarco getting himself set and ready. 5th in the sprint yesterday, his best in 21 since he was close to the podium in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Great to see, I have to say as well, credit to all the Marc Marquez fans, knowing that their hero is not racing here this weekend. They've already got their tickets, they're already ready to rally for the home hero. Marc recovering from double surgery after last weekend's French Grand Prix, got his own dedicated grandstand at turn 12, and it is still, even though Marc's watching at home, jam-packed to the rafters with 93 flags. Bright red 93 t-shirts, pockets of Marc fans all over the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia. Speedy recovery, Marc. We will see you hopefully soon, hopefully in Mugello next time out. Front row of the grid then here, head of this Catalonia clash. He's already won the sprint. Can he complete the double for the first time in his career? Alex Marquez then goes from 3rd place. Frankie Morbidelli, his first front row start of the season, his first front row in 15. But it's Pedro Acosta then. It's today the day that he breaks his winning duck. Can he find that elusive first MotoGP victory? It's Acosta on pole here in Catalonia. KTM's